So the press just covering from themselves, covering their tracks, covering the things that they didn't do that anybody in the press ought to do, the questions they didn't ask. Joe Scarborough saying, oh, nothing to see here, no malfeasance, nothing at all. I mean, you only have to turn it around. I know I've said this before, but you only have to turn it around and think of George W. Bush spying on Barack Obama. You only have to turn it around to know which way the wind would blow. And why is it? Why is it they never stop? They never ask themselves these questions. They never say, the Christopher Steele document, completely unfounded. No one's ever come up with proof. No one's ever come up with the sources. How can they do it? How can they, as self-respecting journalists? I mean, I got to say, I'm a partisan journalist. I'm not even sure I'd call myself a journalist, but I'm a partisan. But if I felt I was being gullible, if Donald Trump came out and said something, then I thought like, nah, I don't think so. I would look into it. I definitely would. I have done. You've heard me do it. It's just, all you're seeing is this guilt at the fact that they did not cover. This is one of the biggest scandals in American history. There's no question about it, and they did not cover it. So in order for this story, this narrative to continue, William Barr has to be the worst person in the world. In order for this thing, we have to completely discredit him. Why? Because he said that they weren't going to charge Trump for obstruction, and now they're going to look at the Mueller report and say, oh, how could he have passed this over? And because he said, I want to look into the spying on the Trump campaign. And he never said the spying was illegal, because you can spy on somebody legally. The CIA does it all the time. He never said it was illegal. He said that wiretapping people's phones, sending people to talk to them and elicit information from them, that's spying, and it's a big deal. Listen to the way, just so you can hear how the Democrats and the press are one, as always. Listen to Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. Listen to him just rip this guy's reputation apart for no reason.
I think when he used the obviously political charge expression of spying, he lost whatever credibility he may have had, because that was, again, music to President Trump's ears. Trump immediately tweets it out. He says, that a boy, Attorney General Barr. If he just was referring to the surveillance that we know took place pursuant to the FISA warrant, and by the way, is currently being reviewed by the Inspector General at DOJ. That's one thing, but spying in itself has obviously negative connotations and suggests that there was wrongdoing. So, he later had to try to, put the toothpaste back in the tube, because he admitted at the hearing he had no evidence of wrongdoing that he was going to present to the committee. So all he did was float this charge. The president loved it. And unfortunately, in the process, the attorney general further undermined his credibility as an independent, arbiter of justice.
This is a full court press that includes both the court and the press. It's a full court press to basically discredit Barr before this thing comes out. This is spin, spin, spin before the axe drops. Now, of course, after it comes out, you're going to get a whole new spin about obstruction of justice and about this, evidence of guilt and new trails. There's never going to be a point, never, ever going to be a point when anybody from the New York Times, a former newspaper, to any of these guys turns to the FBI and says, wait just a minute. Really what we need is a grand jury investigation. We really need Bill McGurn was saying this in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, we need a grand jury investigation that brings James Comey, all these guys, Andrew McCabe, all the investigators, Brennan, Clapper, all of them, up before a grand jury where they have to testify under oath about how this thing got started and what they did. Just looking, it is amazing, Trump's magical power to destroy people. It's not that he destroys people, it's he gets them to destroy themselves. And he has now decimated the press. The American press is a shell. It's dust. It's nothing. Because they hated Trump so much, they gave away everything. They gave away all their integrity. They gave away all their principles, all their practices they abandoned. And now they look utterly ridiculous. There's this guy, Jeffrey Toobin. I've played him before on Fox. I guess he's their legal analyst. He's just a complete partisan. I don't even know why we have to listen to him speak, because we always know what he's going to say. The worst, the ugliest thing. It really is almost distressing to hear this guy's, the hate pouring out of the guy. But he comes on, just listen. This is a complete sign of guilt. There was one cable station, one cable station up against all the networks, up against all the other cable stations, one cable station where many of the commentators support Donald Trump. That's the problem for Jeffrey Toobin.
He's got an entire cable news network that is going to elaborate and repeat and guarantee that Trump's message gets out there. I mean, Fox News will be an incredible asset to the president that Richard Nixon didn't have in the 1970s, that Bill Clinton didn't have in the 1990s. And that echo chamber is going to announce this as a vindication, regardless of what the 400 pages say.
He's damn right Richard Nixon didn't have that. The one place Fox has been right. Fox has been right. The commentators at Fox have been right. I wouldn't have always said this when this thing began. I wasn't saying it. It just became slowly clearer and clearer and clearer that they had nothing on Trump and that the investigation itself was started in a very cheesy, very suspicious way. Fox has been right. Fox has been doing the job that the New York Times and the Washington Post and certainly CNN have not done. They're the ones who asked, why is this source giving me this piece of information? Why is Christopher Steele's document being used? What are the connections between Christopher Steele and Bruce Ower and all these people who were in the FBI and in the Justice Department? Why was Jeff Sessions pressured into recusing himself? This is a scandal. You know, it is a weird thing. I mean, you know, Sean Hannity on Fox, very big Trump partisan. I don't always agree with him. Sometimes I think he goes too far. He's right about this. He's just right about it. And I think that's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to the mainstream press when a partisan guy like Hannity is right and they're supposedly, you know, a mainstream, down the road, objective journalists are not. Again, just to show you the guilt, Andrew McCabe, guy fired for lying about leaking information. So one of the people who was working with the press, hoping against hope that there still might be something in this Mueller report that can be spun to show that he shouldn't go to jail for doing what he did.
The fact that Director Mueller has supposedly concluded that he found no evidence of collusion, so he didn't find enough evidence to indicate the existence of a conspiracy at the level that you would need to bring some sort of, a federal charge. Does that mean we shouldn't have investigated it? Absolutely not. We don't start investigations driving at a conclusion. We don't consider investigations to have been a waste of time or unwarranted simply because they ended up in a place where you didn't expect them to end up. You start investigations because you have an obligation to do your job. And our job at that moment, when we have that articulable suspicion, is to conduct the investigation to ensure that we and the Justice Department, and maybe in some circumstances the world, will know if in fact that threat existed. And it's just as valuable to be able to say, no, it didn't.
I mean, absurd, right? We don't start investigations with anything in mind. We just pick out a guy and we investigate him. We don't start investigations because we think there's a crime or because we have proof of a crime or because we have, some kind of relevant evidence. It's just as useful for us to find out that you didn't do anything as it is for us to find out you did do something. So we just look around, we pick out a guy, there's a guy with kind of funny orange hair who just happens to be running for president. He'd be an interesting guy to investigate. I mean, the way these guys are talking, you can just see the cop leaning over the desk and saying to him, pal, this isn't making sense. This isn't making sense to me. Why don't you just come clean and get it off your chest? You'll feel a lot better. It really is. It really is an embarrassment. It is just the way they're behaving. And this is before the report comes out. This is before they have stuff to work with and stuff that they can spin. This is truly an amazing scandal. I think I'll let Lindsey Graham have the last word. Let him sum up what's happened.
They accuse Trump of changing all the rules in Washington. I would suggest that all the rules have been changed to get Trump. Kavanaugh's nominee was not presumed innocent because he was a conservative. The way they treated Brett Kavanaugh was to try to destroy his life and drive him out of wanting the job, hoping he would quit. They're attacking Bill Barr now, one of the most seasoned, highly respected legal minds in the United States. Nothing's changed about Bill Barr since he was Attorney General under Bush 41. The only thing that's changed is the desire to get Trump, no matter how you have to get him.
That's a very clear statement of exactly what's happened, anything you can do. And you know, it's really hard to talk about this without remembering Barack Obama's 8 years of scandal-free administration, without looking back and saying, you know, Fast and Furious, no scandal. IRS, no scandal. Benghazi and lying about Benghazi, no scandal. Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch on the runway, no scandal. Hillary Clinton letting her emails just go floating back, her classified emails go floating around, no scandal. This is the press during Barack Obama. At the end of Barack Obama's administration, we've played this at least a dozen times. It's worth hearing again.
And he's been scandal-free, frankly, in the White House. We haven't had that for a while.
He ran an administration that was largely scandal-free.
There's a White House that takes pride in being scandal-free.
That in the Obama years, which are remarkably scandal-free.
A lot of people were talking about how he's going to be remembered for the scandal-free administration that he ran.
The president has been very rightfully proud of the lack of scandal in his administration so far. There's been no major scandals around top aides.
But President Obama has run an amazingly scandal-free administration, not only he himself, but the people around him. He's chosen people who have been pretty scandal-free.
This has been a scandal-free administration for the last 8 years, and oftentimes people don't even talk about that fact.
Yeah, because it's not true. You know, that's your press at work. That's your press that's going to go to work tomorrow as this report comes out to try and spin it yet again into a new scandal. Listen, you know, you've heard me say things about Trump and how he bothers me at times, but it is amazing to me. It is amazing to me the way they have treated this guy and the way, essentially, they've treated themselves, what they have done to themselves. I mean, that is really the kind of embarrassing scandal of the press in the Trump administration, is what the American journalists have done to themselves after 8 years of lying on their bellies, lying on their backs, waiting to have their bellies scratched by Barack Obama. It's truly an embarrassment. And you'll notice, by the way, that Obama has kind of disappeared from all conversations of where the country is, of what its problems are. We don't hear about the fact that Trump destroyed ISIS, but we don't hear about the fact that it's Obama who let ISIS spread. You know, we hear about, there's a piece in the New York Times today, a former newspaper, about how red states, the states that voted for Trump, are doing quite well now. They're doing a little bit better. They're clawing back from an Obama administration in which they did much, much worse than the blue states did. But there's no mention of Obama. He calls them Clinton states versus Trump states, but there's no mention of Obama. It is like this guy has vanished, so we do not remember what his policies did. No matter how much you like him personally, we don't remember what his policies did to this country and why Donald Trump was summoned by the middle of this country to come and basically bring them back online, on economic line, because they've been forgotten. He's done his job. You know, he's not the nicest person in the world. He has a lot of sleazy stuff in his past, but he's doing a good job as president. He does not deserve to have this deep state come after him while the press covers it up.